What up, guys? Yeah, we got another beer review coming at you. This one is out of Maui Brewing Company. I really dig what they do. And it is their Perouse White. It's a Witbier. I apologize, I probably did not say La Perouse correctly. But it is a limited release. And I'm very excited. Like, I have not had a white beer in a while, a wit or whatever. So I'm looking forward to it. It's one of my favorite beer styles. A nice, well-done one. It just is fantastic. Excuse me. And I like this little, whenever you're getting a Maui Brewing Company beer, it has this lip on the top. I love it. It reminds me of just the old school, almost like fallout shelter cans of water. And I don't know. I just like it. It's distinct enough. So you just kind of grab it like, yeah, that's Maui Brewing Company. But anyways, let's crack this open. You're pouring. Oh man, yeah, that is super light colored. Now that is the color you want your wheat beer to be. And some deets, it is 5.2% ABV, independently, blah, blah, blah. And that's about all the good stuff. Anyways, let's get into the review, get into the smell. Here's it has a bit of not nutmeg. What is that? Like coriander. There's a bit of that, but there's also something almost like old wheat, like the wheat got wet, it sat out a little too long, and it's a little, not necessarily past its prime, but it's getting there. Maybe I'm just making that up. Maybe I'm just trying to dig. Because the aroma is not super powerful. It's there, but I don't know. No, that's maybe. I think there might be like a dab of vanilla. But it is not super pungent. When I poured it, the first thing I thought of was Hoegaarden, because it had very much that color to it. That super light, vibrant blonde. Which, speaking of blonde, Maui Brewing Company makes one of my favorite lagers. It's a bikini blonde lager. I think it's fantastic. Anyways, so it doesn't have that kind of that burst of aroma that a Hoegaarden does, or a lot of other wheat beers have. So I think there's a hint of coriander. I don't know if it's going to be that strong, because the aroma is very minimal. I don't know, maybe like a banana peel. Maybe I might go with that. Maybe instead of like that weird wheat analogy I gave, maybe like a banana peel kind of thing. Yeah, that makes more sense. A coriander and maybe like a hint of a banana. There's still something else in there that I just can't figure out, but I don't know what to expect with this. I'm a little, wheat might, a nice wheat beer might be my favorite kind of beer. but there's something that I'm like a little leery on. So I'm gonna give it a half. I'm not really sure what I'm getting myself into. But let's get into the taste. Yes, very much coriander. You have that citrusy wheat beer kind of thing going on, like a lemon zest wheat. So it's like you have the lemon zest wheat base, then you have the coriander around it. There might be a dab of maltiness. I'm going to say there's the most subtle hint of maltiness to it. There's not a lot, but there's something there. Maybe just the finest amount of like a raisiny date kind of maltiness. Very minimal, but I feel like there's just a little bit in there. Just like you have all the base made on it, and you got like just a minuscule amount of that maltiness. Not a lot. If you just kind of drink it without thinking about it, you probably miss it. But I think there's something in there like that. And I'm going to stick by it. I think there's maybe a very subtle hint of like a banana in there too. They tend to do, especially Maui Brewing Company, I find most of the beers I've had from them, they tend to kind of sneak in some of those tropical fruit things. There might also be a dab of pineapple in this. Actually, now that I'm saying it out loud, I can definitely see there being some like pineapple juice. Almost more pineapple than lemon, now that I'm thinking about it. It's almost a wheat beer made with a dab of pineapple and coriander. Which, maybe that sounds interesting to you. And a bit of that, now that I'm kind of talking myself through, I'm like, oh yes, this makes sense. So kind of a pineapple-y coriander wheat beer, which normally might become a little too sweet. But that subtle, very subtle maltiness kind of brings the sweetness of the pineapple back down to earth, so it doesn't get too, it keeps it restrained. I figured it out. That's what I'm settling on that. I think it's kind of like that. There's definitely still some probably citrus aspects to it, but I'm saying there's a bit of pineapple in it. But I like it. It's a little different, but I like that. I like it when it's not just like, right on the head, same as everything else you get. I like it because there's a slight variation to it. So I'm going to recommend it on taste. Next category is value for price, and it costs about what your average micro costs, and that always very much surprises me. I would very much assume that this thing made in Hawaii would cost more because you have a minimal location. Your access to local ingredients is, very specific ingredients you have to use without crazy inflating the price. And then you got to ship it out on some tanker, like 1,000 miles over to California, and then just or wherever. So it always surprises me how very close price-wise Maui Brewing Company is to your regular craft beer. So take that into account. So I will recommend it on value for price. I think Maui Brewing Company is probably not making as much per beer sold as the general craft beers out there. So that's probably why a lot of the beers they make are more like lager and pilsner and wheat based, because the extra hoppy beers would probably just be crazy to make, and the price would be out of this world. But yeah, I'm gonna recommend it on the price. Next category is distinction. And there's a lot of similarities with some of the other wheat beers. You know, that wheat base, the kind of citrus elements to it, the coriander that's found in a lot of beers. Because it's got a nice kind of, it works well. But I think there's just a subtle dab of pineapple that adds a little complexity to it, and I'm pretty sure there's a very dab of maltiness to it to bring the pineapple back down to earth. So there's some. It might be a little more complex than your average wheat beer, which I love a nice complex beer that makes you kind of think a little bit about it, if you want to. So distinction. There's enough going on to very much make it a distinct beer, so I'm going to recommend it on distinction. Next category is drinkability, and yes, it is very drinkable. If you ever get a wheat beer that's not drinkable, there's something significantly wrong with that beer. Like, a wheat beer is made to be consumed. Like, it's made to be, just drink it outside when it's hot out. It's made for warm weather conditions. Like, that's why it's there. So if you ever have one that's not very drinkable, it's like run away screaming and never come back. So I'm going to recommend it on drinkability. And last category is would I buy it again? That's where it gets a little tricky. Because my go-to is probably still Hoegaarden. That's just like my favorite. It's a quality beer. It's easy to find, especially if I can get it on tap. If I ever find it on tap at a bar, I will always buy it on tap. There's just something about Hoegaarden on tap that's just like few beers for me can touch. But I wouldn't be anti-buying this again. Like, if I saw it, yeah, sure, okay, yeah, I convinced myself, yeah, I'll buy it again. I was teetering between half and yes, but yes, I'll buy it again. And sometimes you just want a nice wheat beer, and this one tastes better than a lot of the other wheat beers out there. So, recommend it on that. But anyways, that is my review of Maui Brewing Company's limited release La Perouse White. Have you had it before? What do you think? Also, is there a beer that when you see it on tap, you just have to get it? Like, every time. It doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter what you're in the mood for. If you see it on tap, you have to get it. Let me know in the comments. For me, Hoegaarden. If I ever find it on tap, I will always get it. Just because, maybe if it was on every single tap everywhere, maybe I'd think twice. But when I find it, it's like, oh. It's kind of like if I find a Chimay on tap. I'm like, ooh. But Hoegaarden, that's like a real, I love it. But yeah, let me know in the comment section below if there's like a particular beer that you always have to get on tap. And so yeah, like, subscribe, do all the good stuff. And so for myself and for La Perouse White, take it easy.